Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Today I am combining two parts of my crafty world into one video, and that is combining the load challenge, which is the layout a day challenge, links below if you don't know what that means, plus I'll be using my October SCT Sampler Kit. When I unbox these kits, I always do a project focusing on the products in these kits, and then after that, I just use bits and pieces of the kits and other things. But today, I'm really going to make the rest of this kit the focus of this layout. So let's dive in. All right, here are the supplies I'm going to be working with. Here is my SCT Sampler Kit, and I used probably about half the papers from this kit on the original unboxing and project. The other half was largely Halloween products, and so I am going to tell a Halloween story today. The load prompt was talking about Billie Eilish and her style and how she makes a great team with her brother. So our story prompt is to talk about great teams, and our technique prompt is to use some neon colors for the fact that she used to have neon green hair. So those are the prompts that I'm working with, and since my products for my SCT Sampler Kit are Halloween, I'm going to go ahead and use the green and orange color palette of Halloween to tell this story. I brought out a couple of different spray mists, and even though the colors turn out to be pretty similar here, one of them has sparkle and shine in it and the other one does not. So that is why I am using the two different kinds, so that I get a variation into my background. And once that is dry, while that was drying, I cut out a whole bunch of circles from those Halloween papers so that I could, and this is one of my 6x6 paper pad techniques. The SCT Sampler Kits always come with 6x6 papers, and cutting them into circles or other shapes is one of the biggest techniques that I use to deal with using smaller papers on a full 12x12 layout. So I have them all cut out, and I'm starting to arrange them in a flow from a diagonal flow from the top left to the bottom right. And I'm going to add in some more circular elements by using this mask that I cut off camera and stamping inside the mask. So while I've got all these pieces kind of in place, I'm going to figure out where I want my stamping to go. And sometimes that means kind of moving things out of the way and rearranging things so that I can get all this to work. So I am going to use the stamp set in my SCT Sampler Kit to create more circles of the orange color, because I only had one piece of that orange ghosty paper. I wanted to spread that orange color around more on the layout. Now, stamping in orange ink on top of green ink can lead to brownness, because both of these ink products are transparent. And here I am testing this out to see how brown it's going to get. And I know that part of my layout's going to be covered up by that ghosty print, so I'm okay testing it there. It did tinge towards brown, but it wasn't as brown as I thought it would be. I am going to change up to a lighter orange so that I can get a lighter result, and that will make me happier. So know if you're going to do stamping on top of other colors, you think about your color wheel and how combining colors together can cause color changes that you may not expect. Okay, once I practice with that color, I am satisfied with this lighter version, and I am just going to randomly stamp these little images inside of this mask. I did cut several different sizes of circles to see which ones I would want to use, and I'll pick and choose as I go in each area of this layout. And see, because I go over the edges of that circle, you can get the definition of the circle without it being outlined in something like a black ink circle or anything like that. So that gives the hint of the circle without being a solid circle. Now I'm going to start attaching some things down into place while I work on my other circles, so that way things don't shift and move on me and I end up making my circles in the wrong position. Ask me how I know. So I am starting to put all those things down. All right, with that done, it is time to create some more circles with my stamping. So I thought, what am I doing here? Okay, so this circle is a slightly larger size. I thought I was going to go with the biggest one. This masking paper is by Gina K, and it's called Masking Magic, and I've found it to be a very good product. The tackiness is not too tacky that it tears anything. And it's also tacky enough that it is reusable over and over again. So I've used some of these pieces 5 or 6 times and it's still going. So if you ever want to try some masking techniques, I recommend using a good quality masking paper. You can use just like a copy weight paper from the printer or something like that, but it has a thickness to it that when you're stamping on the edge can lead to a little lip of your stamp not creating the impression, and you won't get as crisp of an outlined edge around that mask. So that is why I like using this masking paper. And I'm creating my final third zone here. I always like to work in 3s because that is one of those design principles that I come back to over and over again. So the upper stamping was a little pumpkin. The stamping next to the ghosties was just a little leaf. And then this stamping down here is a tiny little mushroom. And so these create little subtle details to a layout that are totally unnecessary, but it does a nice job of not only spreading around that orange color a little bit more on the layout to for that repetition in design, and it adds more flow to the circles and just a few more little details that the eye can pay attention to as it's moving around the page. Okay, with some final adjustments made to my products, notice I've got some things hanging off the edge of the paper, so I will trim those down afterwards. I am ready to start creating some embellishment clusters, and my kit came with a half sheet of these foam stickers. I believe are they American Crafts this time around? I can't quite remember now. I think they're American Crafts. I'm going to do a little surgery on one of these stickers. I'm going to cut out some of the letters from one of the words, and I'm going to replace some of the letters from another one of the words so that it fits my story better. And this story is about the trunk or treat event that my daughter's school holds. I say school, but it's an alternative education center. And we've been using this center for years and years, and it is an all ages education center. And so we've got, moms with babies in arms all the way up to high schoolers who are getting ready to graduate and move on to college. And so we try to host events that meet the needs of a range of families. And that is what this trunk or treat event does. It can be a little bit spooky, but we don't go with scary, gory stuff, so that it is a safe space for all ages of kids to come and hang out and celebrate together. I know a lot of, at least in my neighborhood, we live in the suburbs, but in my neighborhood, trick-or-treating has not been a big hit around here. I'm always kind of disappointed when we have 3 or 4 trick-or-treaters at the door, and then I end up eating all that leftover Halloween candy. One of these years, I will learn not to buy the Halloween candy so that we don't have leftovers. But in the meantime, that is the challenge that I face with my own sugar addiction, if we're totally honest. I will skip forward with me gluing down some of these items and move on. All right, so I do have the start of a couple of embellishment cluster groupings going on. Now I'm going to keep those pretty simple because there is a lot of busyness and flow to this layout with the papers and the spray. So really I'm going to keep those embellishments on the simple side. And then I turn my attention to working on my title. I won't make you watch this because I nitpick and fuss with my letters a lot. But here we are back with that title in place. I had a few extra embellishments that got lost in the shuffle of product on my table. So these are little pop out ephemera pieces that came in the kit. And then I have just a couple of enamel dots there, which I will scatter around. So that is it with the embellishing. And as you can see, I got my title on there, and I did outline my title with a black pen because it is white on a neon green, and that helps it pop out a little bit more. So there we go. I got a second complete layout out of my SCT Sampler Kit this month around, which is unusual for me. So it was nice to be able to use up my products in a way that I don't often do. I will finish off this layout with my journaling all the way around the edge, which I often like to do with a more mixed media layout because that gives me a border that helps feel like everything is held together. So that brings us to the end of this video. I appreciate you so much for watching. I hope you will join me for another video on Friday of a process layout, and I will be back next week as well with lots more videos for you. So until then, have an artful day.